Welcome to Deal to Heal with E. James podcast. On this podcast, my guest and I will discuss topics and ways to help us to heal in every area of our lives. I believe that everyone can live a life that is happy, healthy, and whole. So I'm on a mission to help people to deal, heal, and fulfill. Deal with your problem, heal from the pain, and fulfill your purpose. Thanks for tuning in. Let's get to it. Hey guys, real quick, before we jump into the episode, I need you to do the 3 S's for me. What is that? First of all, I need you to subscribe to the channel so that you don't miss an episode of our podcast. Number 2, I need you to share it with your family and friends. Don't keep it to yourself. Share it with someone else. Lastly, I need you to say something. Leave us a comment. Let us know how we're doing. Let us know what you want to see from us, what you like, what you don't like. We are open to your suggestions. We want to know everything that you want to let us know about the podcast. All right. Now, get back to the episode. All right. Welcome to the Deal to Heal with E. James podcast. I am your host, Earnest James, and I believe that everyone can and should live a life that is whole, healed, and healthy. And therefore, I'm on a mission to help people to deal, heal, and fulfill, to deal with your problems, to heal from the pain, and to fulfill your purpose. Thank you guys once again for tuning in to the Deal to Heal with E. James podcast. If you haven't already, make sure that you listen, like, subscribe, and share our podcast on all of your podcast listening platforms, as well as make sure you guys are checking us out on our YouTube channel, which is the Deal to Heal Podcasting Network. Again, that's the Deal to Heal Podcasting Network, where you will find the Girl Dad Discussions podcast, which is our sister podcast, as well as the Deal to Heal with E. James podcast that you are listening to or watching right now. So again, make sure you guys go to our YouTube channel, which is the Deal to Heal Podcasting Network, in order to check out the work that we're doing there on our podcast network on YouTube. So make sure you guys go there. Also, we want to announce our podcast is being sponsored by our new school community, which is the Deal to Heal School for Living, which is on the school platform. It enables us to help us carry our mission even more by providing you with resources and workshops to help you in every area and different areas of your life. You guys can go check it out. 7 days for free. The first 7 days absolutely free. Go check it out. After that, it's only $27 a month, and each month you have access to a new workshop. So make sure you guys go check that out. Again, that's the Deal to Heal School for Living on the school platform. The details will be in the descriptions, or if you're watching this, you could just scan the QR code in the upper corner in order to check out our Deal to Heal School for Living, which I'm very proud of, number one, and very happy about, to be able to bring you guys more direct support. I know we have a lot of conversations on this podcast about ways that we can help you in different areas, but that is going to allow us to bring you direct resources and workshops directly to you. So I'm so excited about that. But today, just like any other day, we are blessed with the guest, Miss April. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me.
No problem. I want to say thank you for being on, because you could have been doing anything else with anyone else, but you're here with me and my listeners, and we definitely appreciate it. So we're going to jump right into this thing. Do me a favor, Miss April. Introduce yourself to my audience. Tell us a little bit about who you are and what it is that you do.
So my name is April Ratchford. I have a master's degree in occupational therapy. I do work full-time as a long-term care therapist in rehab. I've done that for 13 years now. And I also host my own podcast, Adulting with Autism. And in between all of the circus antics that I do, I also have a 24-year-old autistic son who is now at Marshall University.
Oh, wow. That's amazing. We definitely want to talk about that. So April, okay. Cool. Because so the reason why we're here, because I wanted to talk about your podcast, and I wanted to talk about um, I thought it would probably be your story because, of course, I'm getting to know you just as the audience is getting to know you now, right? So a lot of times we do have conversations before we actually start recording, but we didn't necessarily have a conversation. So I actually thought you were the person that was dealing with autism, but it doesn't matter because you're still an expert.
Technically, I am an autistic occupational
Okay.
therapist. So,
Nice, nice. Okay, so we're gonna have a good conversation. We're gonna have a really good conversation. One of the things that I share with you, um, what I did share with you before we started recording, is that I am a part of a small entrepreneurs group here in the Chicagoland area. And one of the things that we started doing this year, I think, will be our third conference that we have, and we're having an autism conference, and where we help parents get the necessary resources that they need for their children or family members who may be autistic. Um, and we're doing that this year. Actually, by the time this airs, it'll be past already. But this will be our third year of having that conference. And so, although um, I personally don't have a loved one or a direct loved one who is autistic. I did spend 2 year, 10 years being a healthcare aide and working with people with different abilities, and so including persons who were autistic. And so that's still dear to my heart, which is why I'm also a part of that conference. But I think it's important to know, and because you having a son, and I'd like you, if you don't mind sharing, just tell us a little bit more about your son, especially being an adult at a university now. I think that's amazing. So let's just start there. First of all, tell us a little bit more about you and just your background and family wise, and then tell us a little bit about your son.
so I come from an entire autistic family. My sister's
Mhm.
autistic. She's got autism and ADHD. My son has spina bifida and autism.
Mhm.
My two oldest niece and nephew have autism, and my youngest nephew also has autism and ADHD. Everybody has degrees except for the little one. He's 11. So
Okay.
we
Okay.
didn't really surprise a lot of people when we're like, we're autistic. But it's a big fun family. My fiance has ADHD, which makes it also fun. And my son um, graduated high school in 2020 during COVID,
Mhm.
and he necessarily didn't do well the first time around outside of high school, and there were no supports. So I created my podcast to help other parents and other autistic young adults have access to something transitioning into adulthood, because there was nothing out there.
Mhm.
No OTs were doing it, no other therapists. So I was like, well, I guess I'll do it.
Yeah.
So after he didn't do well at college the first time around, he got a job, worked at Kroger for 2 years. I did a little research and found him an autism friendly college campus at Marshall University. And they cater to their neurodivergent population. Like, it's the first time I've ever seen a campus that doesn't shut down during the holidays. If the kids
Mhm.
want to come home, they can. If they don't, they don't. Like, this is my son's spring break, and he's like, I'll see you later. I was like, okay. So it's really a unique campus. He loves it. It's not big, and he's major in computer science and with probably a minor in thermodynamics.
Yeah, I love that, man. That's amazing. First of all, congratulations to your whole family, for pushing through and defying the odds, and just setting a whole nother standard, you know what I mean, of what it means, to be autistic and still be able to defy other people's odds or other people's mindset of what that what you're able to do or not able to do, when someone places a label on you. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
so definitely, I applaud your whole family for that. But one of the main reasons why we're here, really, because I want to dive deeper into that being adult, that being adult with autism. Because again, one of the reasons why we do the conference that we do with autism, we're helping families get their support that they need, is because when my friend was, looking for services for her grandson, it was hard for her to find them. And then as she dove deeper into it and was able to, make some strides and stuff, she knew, okay, there's other families that's dealing with this as well. But that's for children. You know what I mean? And so even being in a family who's always been connected to the foster system, it's that same problem where, we might have some services for you to a certain extent, but then you age out or whatever, and then it's like, all right, you're on your own. You know what I mean? And then you don't have any services. And so, what actually happens to, autistic adults once they hit, a certain age, whatever that age is, where services kind of stop, what kind of, are there other services for them that we just don't know about? Or how is the system, first of all, even set up? Because generally, like I said, with the foster care system, it's kind of like, almost wipe your hands and then you just on your own.
So this is generally how it fizzles out. So most parents of autistic kids, they can't afford the autism schools. Those are expensive, so they go in the public school system. And so there's support set up for them all the way from kindergarten to 12th grade. And even if they need extra time, they can go until they're 21. But after that time, it's like a drop off. And I don't know what happened, but I guess everybody was like, they're 18, they're adults. And I'm like, it doesn't work that way. Yeah. Because they still need those supports because their maturity is not where it should be. They're usually about 30% behind than their neurotypical peers. The human brain doesn't fully mature until about 25, 26. And you're asking these adults who have had everything structured and catered to them, figure it out in the adult world. And then their parents are left like, what do we do? And I mean, some kids can get vocational rehab and they qualify for it. But if you have a kid that can potentially live on his own, wants to go to college, wants to do these things, there are options. And there are scholarships and people out there, and there are colleges with autism specific supports just for them so they can get through school. So it's really after 21, there is nothing. You either pay out of pocket, they may have Medicaid, and we all know how that game is. You may get a good therapist, you may not. But what I try to do is kind of bridge that gap, because between 18 and 34, young adults still need like mental health services, because the things they learned as kids does not translate into adults. Then parents have to learn how to treat their kids like adults, and we know how that can go. It can. Believe me, my son and I went round and round. And so parents still need that support, and they feel like, where's that support when they're adults? Because they had all that support when they were little kids, and now they're just stuck of, what are they going to do now? Like, what's there for them? I don't want them to be in a nursing home or a group home.
Right.
Or anything like that.
Yeah, because that was going to be my next question, because as like I said, I've worked for 10 years with persons with different abilities, and I know they have like day service and things of that nature. But if you, like you said, if your son or whoever, the young adult is more independent minded and high functioning, they don't want to be in that environment, you know what I mean? Because they're kind of outgrown that environment, you know what I mean? And so when you don't have nothing lined up or nothing prepared for them, that can be hard on the parent, definitely, because it's a transition from the parent too, like you said, from going from a structured environment for so many years and then nothing, you know. And so now, especially you have to try to build the structure around, you know, a young adult. And like you said, to give your, it's hard for you to give, you know, your other child's my daughter's going to be 23, you know what I mean? So she left me last, was it last year? It might have been, no, it was last year. She left me last year, but like, all right, Dad, I read, because she moved in, she was staying with me for a while as a young adult, and then she's like, all right, Dad, I'm ready to go, you know. And I'm like, all right, you know, I can't hold you, you know what I mean? And
Right.
so she's 23 in a whole nother state, you know what I mean? So it's like having conversations with her and still trying to, you know, want to hold on to them, you know what I mean? But they got to fly, you know.
You gotta push.
And so just having that, and then being a parent who wants to be protective of their child, you know, because their child may be a little different, to make sure, okay, I don't want people, you know, looking at my child a certain way or treating my child a certain way, even though they are a young adult. You still have that same sense of, you know, protective energy for your child, even if the child themselves is like, look, Mom, I'm out of here, you know what I mean? Like, I'm on spring break, I'm out, you know what I'm saying? But it's still that, as the parent, is you still have that same sense. And I remember hearing one of my mentors, he was talking to his son, and he said, you don't think about me as much as I think about you, because to you, I'm your dad, but to me, you're my child. So I'm always thinking about you. You know what I mean? Like, when you're not around, whatever, like, once you're born, my thoughts is you. You know what I mean? For you, it's like you think about me until you're old enough to where you can get away from me.
Right. And
And
that's
so
what's difficult for parents, is they're like, I want them to do this and be adults, but I'm scared. And I'm like,
Mhm.
the world is ugly and big and bad. But if you give them tools that they can use, they can survive the big bad world, because we all have to come out someday and face the world.
Yeah. And so let's talk a little bit about that, you know, because as being a parent yourself, and then also advocating for, you know, your son and for other autistic persons, what is kind of the hardships in that area that you find? And then what are even some of the ways where maybe, you know, your son, for example, can kind of advocate on his own behalf, or are there services in that way where he can say, this is what I want to do, and kind of, you know, move on his own?
So actually, there are coaches out there that are neurodivergent, and they're actually autistic or ADHD. So
Okay.
there are people who are there to help transition. There's actually schools that are called transition schools, that once they go in, they can stay in as long as they need to become independent. But unfortunately, those are private and like
Mhm.
expensive, because it's like a small group and they do well. They either go for vocational, or they do college and they learn how to do life skills. Um, the difficult thing is teaching your kid how to be their own self advocate, because as parents, we've done this all their lives.
Mhm.
And when I told my son, you got to be your own advocate, he was like, what are you talking about? I was like, we're at the doctor's office. I don't know what's wrong with you. You got to tell the doctor. He's like,
Mhm.
but you've got to let him do it. Like, he's gotten better. Even we go to the same nurse practitioner, and she's like, he is such a different kid. When he first came, he wouldn't talk, and now he can talk, say what he needs, not what he doesn't want. He advocates that I don't want to be on meds. That makes
Mhm.
me feel weird. And they just learn. You can teach them. I literally got on three-way to teach them how to order his own medical supplies because it's complicated. And he does his own insurance. He hates it. He absolutely hates talking to them. I was like, welcome to the world. We all hate insurance companies, but he does it. And he's like, let my mom handle it. I'm in school. I'm like, fair enough. Fair enough. But it's something that parents don't think about until they're graduating. And you're like, oh crap, do they know how to do anything? Like, I didn't allow him to go to college for the first year because that kid was not doing his own laundry. I was like, oh, this. So some life skills at home. But parents that still have kids that are 18 to 21 can still have OT and speech therapy services. And even after that, they can qualify, especially if they're needing life skills so they can get out on their own. So parents, don't think speech and OT is just for kids. They're for your young adults to help them with executive functioning, life skills, being more autonomous, learning how to budget, pay bills, not spend all their money, not charge up that credit card. And parents don't know that because they think everything ends right at 18, and it doesn't, and it doesn't have to.
Yeah, just another stage, right? Another stage that you go to. And I want to talk a little bit about that too, because even, how we started this conversation with you, talk about your family and, the strides that you guys has made and accomplishments that you guys has made. Let's talk a little bit about the kind of redefining what success looks like, for a person that's autistic, because of course, those who don't understand what it is, or actually, do me a favor. Let's go start here. How would you describe what autism is? Because I think even though now it's becoming so much more regular because there's so many more cases, that's coming out with, for this generation, and probably just been building, but definitely, at least in my experience, this younger generation, there's been more and more children that are born autistic. And I don't think, even though we're hearing the term more, I don't think we understand what it is. You know what I mean? So from your viewpoint, how would you explain it to someone like myself who's kind of on the outside looking in, want to help, want to do what I can to be supportive, but don't really even know what it means to be autistic?
Every autistic person will have their own spectrum of what they mean to be autistic, but for me, it's just a neurological difference. I just think and perform in ways that are different from neurotypical. Like, I have no sense of time. My son always tells me, you must be on CP time 24/7. I'm like, absolutely. So where he gets anxious if he's late, I'm like, I'm last to the party. So, and I'm okay with that. That's just how I am. But it just depends on how they view themselves. And sometimes it means redefining for themselves. What does autism mean to you? Because all their lives they've been told, this is what you have and this is who you are. And like I told my son, I'm like, that's not who you are. That's just a name which you have for your neurological difference. Everything else is you. It's a personality. It's not just like a disorder to be cured. It's something that is us. It's every day. And it's such a big spectrum, even in the different levels, that we're not a one size fit all, but some of us are really gifted.
Yeah. And I was going to say, because with like you mentioned with your family and all of you guys have done, that's definitely redefining, or have to make everyone kind of take a second look and say, oh, wait a minute. You know what I mean? Like, this is a whole family, and still everybody is, accomplishing these great things and doing, great things, and then even raising their children to do great thing as well. And I think that's definitely something to be applauded and celebrated. One of the things that you did, and we talked about it a little bit, is the podcast. So what is the premise of the podcast, and how long have you been podcasting? How's that going?
So the premise of the podcast, Adulting with Autism, was geared toward autistic young adults. And I had my kid in mind. And thinking back to my 20s, what would I want as a young adult to help me guide? Mm-hmm. And so it's a combination of mental health, relationships, finances, careers, leadership, being an advocate for yourself. And I have been doing this going on 2 years, but I have up to 262 episodes, because so many people are like, this is not just a personal story. This is something for them from a clinical view that they can take away and say, I have coping mechanisms now that I can take away and use every day, or choose to listen to different episodes about whatever, like careers, if you want to go to school, if you don't want to go to school, coaching. I bring on everybody that's going to hit that mark for them to live in the adult world.
Yeah. And that was going to be my next question. Do you have guests on to talk about? So what are one of your favorite guests so far?
Oh, so I love Dr. Matthew Zarinsky. He wrote a book called The Neurodiversity Playbook, which helps autistic young adults kind of navigate feelings, emotions, what to do, what not to do, the pitfalls of why you like to game and just numb out versus why you're not instigating. Another one with Saul Smith, and he deals with a lot of autistic and neurodivergent people who are discovered late in life. They got the diagnosis and not understanding what that means for them as an adult. And, you know, I had the national best-selling author, J.D. Barker, come on, because he's late diagnosed autistic, but he writes with James Patterson. He cranks out like 12 books a year. So it just shows them you're not limited. You just need a little bit of structure to help you get to where you're going.
And how long is each episode? Because you said you got 200 some episodes, and I'm on 200 and some episodes of this podcast. But I've been doing it for like 4 years or something like that. For you to hit that much in 2 years, that's a lot of episodes.
So my episodes can range from 25 minutes to about 45 minutes. Mm-hmm. And I try to cap it at 45 because their attention spans are real short. And so is mine. Right. And I started out as one episode a week. And then my inbox just kept getting flooded with guests because they're like, we need this podcast. And so I went to 2 episodes a week, and I still got slammed. So now I do 3 episodes a week. While working full time.
Right. Because you sound almost like me. So I release 1 episode a week, but I record 3 a week, you know. And so, yeah, and that's why I said, like, just listen to like 200 episodes. Because I remember when I once I got started and I kind of got into the swing of things, and, you know, especially when it was new and everybody was calling. So I was booked for like months with 3 episodes a week for like months. And so probably like about 4 or 5 months of recording 3 episodes every week for that long, I was so burnt out. I was like, I need a break. And so, but I was glad that I had recorded the episodes like that and batched them. That way, that still an episode a week still came out, even while I was taking my break. So I still was able to release them. So that is amazing. for you to have that. And I definitely will be sharing uh, your information and the information about the podcast in different spaces that I'm in, because I do talk to other people that's deal with who some have programs around autistic children, and then some have I think it's the one other young lady that I've connected to that also have a podcast. But I do think, and then even now, while I'm thinking about it, I have a friend who is a service provider, and that's one of the things she does full time, is to help parents get services. And then I think I have a couple people that come to mind whose children are still young, so they're not adults yet, but just to know that there's a resource even for them to listen to as their child grows up, to be able to say, okay, let me get these things in mind, so I know to even be able to offer these things to my child, as they get older, to help them navigate the space that they in. So I definitely appreciate the work that you do. Before we get out of here, we talked about the podcast, but you also have a merch shop, right? So is it just podcast merch, or is it a lot of different things?
No, I would never do that. So it does have podcast merch, but it has neurodivergent, autistic, French facing like apparel. And I made it geared toward autistic young adults because they don't want to run around with rainbows and unicorns on their t-shirts. So it's mostly words like the sweatshirt I'm wearing says, "Not masking, just magic." Or I have one that says, "Autistic, authentic, unapologetic." So it's something they can say, "This is who I am," and not feel like a little kid, because they're not little kids anymore.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. Definitely want you to leave us with that information. Man, April, I'm impressed. Especially I'm still stuck on the 200 episodes in 2 years. That's crazy. But I will definitely be checking you out. I did subscribe on Instagram, so I am a subscriber of your podcast on Instagram. I definitely looked you up. But I will be listening myself, because I am a ally, should I say, to persons who have children that's autistic and loved ones. And so I definitely again, looking for information to be able to pass on to my loved ones as well. So I definitely will do that. And I just want to say again, thank you for the work that you do and everything that you've done and still doing. But I want you to have the last word, right? I want you to leave us with a word of advice, a word of inspiration, however you feel, whether you want to leave a message for parents or you leave a message for, the children, however you feel, young adults. I'll leave that up to you, but I want you to have the last word. I'll give you a couple of minutes to think about that. To my audience, thank you guys once again for tuning in to the Deal to Heal with EJ's podcast. Make sure you guys are checking out our website at dealhealfulfill.org. Again, that's dealhealfulfill.org, where you can find more information about us as an organization and the things that we're doing. Also, make sure you guys check out my personal speakers page, which is EarnestJamesSpeaksLife.com. Again, that's ErnestJamesSpeaksLife.com, in order to have me to come out to be to do a speech or to facilitate a workshop for you. You guys can go there and find out more information how to make that happen. Also, ebooksbyejames.com, which is where my ebooks used to be at, but they're not there anymore. We closed down that website, but you can still get all of the ebooks absolutely free when you check out our Deal to Heal School for Living, which we talked about a little bit earlier. You can go there and you have access to all of the ebooks, where you can just download all of them for free. So again, go to the Deal to Heal School for Living, should I say, on the school platform. Scan the QR code in the corner, or look for the link in the descriptions where you can go there to check out our school platform. And while you're there, go to the resources channel, the resources tab, and you'll be able to get all of my ebooks absolutely free and download them there. Also, Deal to Heal Tees, which is our inspirational t-shirt line. Put some inspiration in your situation. Wear an inspirational tee and be inspired all day. That is our tagline. Again, you can go to deal to healtees.com. That's deal, the number 2, healtees.com. Deal to healtees.com to check out our inspirational t-shirt line, as well as our podcast merch, which is our t-shirts with our podcast logos on it. There's one for the Girl Dad Discussions podcast, and there's one for the Deal to Heal with E. James podcast, which I am actually wearing today, which I never do, but I decided to put it on today. So yes, you can go and get your t-shirts, our podcast merch, which are t-shirts with our logos on it for the podcast. So make sure you guys go and check that out as well. Also, one of the things that I do, I've been blessed to be a part of an organization called the Forgiveness Mission. And what we do, we have free virtual workshops bi-monthly discussing the topic of forgiveness, forgiveness of self, forgiveness of others, forgiveness of the world, just everything surrounding forgiveness, because we believe that forgiveness is a missing piece in our world today, and we want to make it, we want to bring it back. So again, you guys can sign up for our free virtual workshop just by going to forgivenessmission.com to sign up, or you can go to Eventbrite and look up Forgiveness Workshop sponsored by the Forgiveness Mission. Again, just make it easy for yourself. Just go to forgivenessmission.com to sign up for our free virtual workshop. So whenever you're listening to this podcast, either one just ended or there's one coming up. Again, that's the forgivenessmission.com to sign up for our next virtual workshop. And last but not least, one of the things that I am very proud of and excited about is we have started our nonprofit organization, the Deal to Heal the World Incorporated, which is a nonprofit organization. We want to be able to bring more workshops and more resources to the community, but we wanted to do it absolutely free for the community. But we know that there is a cost for things. And so we started our nonprofit, and we are taking donations. You can make a one-time donation or a reoccurring donation to be able to help us to bring, to do more things in the community, to bring the help that is much needed and resources. So again, the Deal to Heal, Deal to Heal the World Incorporated is our nonprofit. That link definitely will be in the description below. You guys can check that out. So again, make sure you guys are, going to the description, looking at all of the things, all of the information is there. There's probably a lot more information than what I shared, but it's all there. Make sure you guys check it out. Once again, Miss April, I want to say thank you so very much for being on. Thank you for sharing your story and your expertise. I want you to have the last word, so the floor is yours.
Okay, so this is for you young adults. Success is not defined by anybody else but you. Whatever you want in your life, you can achieve. And if success is just living on your own, that's okay. If you're still living with your parents, that's still okay. There's nothing wrong with you. You're just fine, maybe a little behind, but that's okay. We love you as you are.
All right. And I like what you said. That's actually one of the things that I say. One of my mantras is success is defined by the person in pursuit of it. So you define what your own version of success is. April, how can we find you, and where can we find your podcast?
So my podcast, Adulting with Autism, is on all platforms that have podcasts. You can go to Linktree/Adulting with Autism, and you can find all my socials, my merch shop. And if you just want to listen to the podcast on there, right there.
Right. I love it. And all of that information will be in the descriptions. To my audience, thank you guys once again for tuning in to the Deal to Heal with E. James podcast, where our mission is to help you to deal, heal, and fulfill, to deal with your problems, to heal from the pain, and to fulfill your purpose. Until next time, you guys be blessed. Thanks for listening to the Deal to Heal with E. James podcast. Remember to listen, like, subscribe, and share. This episode has been brought to you by Deal to Heal Teas. Put some inspiration in your situation. Wear an inspirational tea and be inspired all day. Let's go to dealtohealteas.myshopify.com. Remember, our mission is to help you to deal, heal, and fulfill. Deal with your problem, heal from the pain, and fulfill your purpose. Thanks for listening. Are you looking for inspiration on a daily basis? Then check out Deal to Heal Teas. With our inspirational teas, you're sure to find something to inspire you. That's dealtohealteas.com. Put some inspiration in your situation. Wear inspirational tea and be inspired all day. Let's go to dealtohealteas.com. Again, that's dealtohealteas.com.